I mean, we were just saying that we're concerned that solar storms may have upset our communications tonight, but it seems not so. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Hi there,
Yes.
welcome everybody. Thank you for being with us. This is the Prehistory Guys live news roundup show in which we take news items that have tickled our fancy and, well, discuss them with you. Hi there, I'm Michael Bott.
I'm Rupert Soskin.
As if you didn't
And
know.
yes,
In
it's nice to
tonight's
see you.
show, how 10,000-year-old teeth show us how early farmers formed their societies, why there'd probably be no such thing as civilization were it not for the tides, and how 6,000-year-old chewing gum tells us who was doing what around the home in the Alps way back then. Yeah, stick around for all that. First of all, though, guys, if we could make a request, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the recording, you find yourself enjoying the show, please do hit the like and subscribe buttons. We'd be very grateful. It does make a difference to the channel. And talking of making a difference to the channel, huge shout out to the people that really do help make a difference for us. And that's our Patreon subscribers, many of whom we can see in the chat already.
Indeed we can, yes.
Thanks to you and anybody that's not a Patreon already and is amazed at how chatty this lot are. Well, that's the reason. If you think about joining them, they're a great community, been around, and growing for a long time. Check out the link below to our Patreon page. So, guys, a lot of you have already been making yourselves known to us. Lots of familiar names and some that may not be quite so familiar to us. So forgive us if we miss your names and that kind of thing. Rupert, have you been paying attention while I've been wittering these last minutes?
To who's in the chats? To who's in the chats or to who's joined us recently? Oh, well, Helen has just said that she lost power a minute ago and might not be able to hang around. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that that's not you being affected by a solar storm and everybody else got away with it. But no, Nellison's there, Nellie's there, Alison's there, Pavla's there. Hello, Pavla. Yeah, Lily's there.
Okay.
Yes, Rhys is there, Rhys.
Or not, declare yourself. Let us know you're here and where you're from, especially if you're new here and you've not been with us on one of these lives before.
Sibylla's there. Hello, Sibylla. Yeah.
This is so encouraging.
Yeah, lots of it.
I'm always overwhelmed. I mean, it seems, how many lives have we done now? No, that wasn't really a question, but it's a lot. What the point is, it never fails to amaze me, that wonderful people turn up to share the evening with us. Okay, so thanks for everybody for being here. I think I've said that, and it's really glorious to see you. Before we get going, though, I think Rupert and I, we need to say a few words about the last few months. Last couple of months, because it's been a bit, should we say, quiet around here on YouTube, tumbleweed a little bit, And
yes, we've been busy.
Is that all you got? That's
yes.
it. In fact, that's all you got to say.
In fact, no. Who was it? Who was it? Somebody said in the chat. I saw it as we were going through. Somebody said, "I want to hear how the Serbian road trip went." Who said that? That was. That was Screamer China 4. Hello, Screamer China 4. Do you know what? I will never get used to handles, and I will I'll do my best to remember who's the name behind the handle. And in many cases, I struggle. But the Serbian road trip, it went very well, didn't it?
Yes, it did. And of course, we'll be saying a lot more about that. In fact, Rupert and I recorded a long piece yesterday that we'll be publishing in a week or so, all about our Serbian trip and how we've come back from Lepenski Vir with our heads spinning. I tell you, our heads are spinning with, because so many things have been turned on its head by us being there and being at the site and looking at the site itself. It never fails. Whenever we think we know everything about a site, and then we go there and Hello? Really? Is that
Yeah.
what you're thinking? Well, Anyway, there's too much to talk about it here. But the point is that the last few months have been taken up with our heads being elsewhere. Before Serbia, we were in Brittany with, actually some of the people that are in the chat with us now on a tour of the megaliths of Brittany. That was fantastic. But it does divert our attention from the channel and, what happens here. And there is no small impact, on the, what happens here in the revenue. Anyway, we're back in the saddle now. We're, looking forward to keeping a regular content thing going. I was really pleased, actually, that despite our absence, the first thing that we published last week is actually doing quite well. So, thank you for that, and thanks for your continued support. Anything else we need to say about that, Rupert?
About that in particular, I don't think so. I mean, we've got loads of stuff coming, and half of the people I can see in the chat have already heard us talking about that. But
yeah, exactly.
Generally, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to pick up on a comment here because it's a very good point. It's Dawn. Hello, Dawn. Dawn, Dawn from Gloucestershire, yes. Dawn said, big up the Caithness Broch project.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a very good point. That some of you, those of you who've been watching us for a few years anyway, will know that we had Kenny and Ian, two guys really behind the Caithness Broch project. Their whole
the Broch
plan
boys
for ages. The Broch boys, yes. They were trying to get all the funding together to build, because they were working on an existing Broch, and they wanted to rebuild a Broch exactly the way it would have been in the Iron Age, and that actually got the go ahead fairly recently, and that's it's all steam ahead now. So do look up the Caithness Broch project, and if it appeals to you, then do behind them, because it's amazing what they're planning on doing and what they're going to be reconstructing. Just awesome. So yeah, we'll be. I think we should get them back on the show actually at some point.
Yeah. Without giving too much of a game.
Boys.
Well, exactly. I think that's because they're in our thoughts without giving too much of a game away. So I think Kenny and or Ian, I think will be people that we'll be in touch with in the coming weeks or months. Hello, Simon says hello from New Zealand. And Alison, hi there. Alison.
And Alison, hello, Alison.
Yeah.
And David does slipped by unnoticed a little bit. But everybody, it's good to see you all. Yeah, and Kev, hello, Kev.
Sorry, did you say something else, Rupert?
So, yeah, Kev. What, did I say anything after Kev?
Oh, terabytes. Hello, Kev. Yeah, got it. I see what you mean now. Fantastic.
Yes.
I think that's all. That's all the housekeeping. That's all the business, isn't it? Apart from the fact that some of you know, most of you will know, of course, that our visit to Serbia was under the auspice of the GÖBEKLI TEPE to Stonehenge project. I'll probably say a few words about that later on in the show. But big thanks to those that contributed and helped us get there. And we got loads of good footage, and that'll be seeing the light of the day over the next coming weeks and months. It's always good to have B-roll from exotic places. Links to the Buy Me a Coffee campaign for the GÖBEKLI TEPE to Stonehenge project down below, but I won't waste any more time now at the front of the show with that stuff. Later. Remind me, Rupert, maybe to talk a little bit about
I will. Hello, Tammy. Cool. Yeah, should we start the news?
Let's start the news, and we're going. Ancient teeth. This is the oldest report. Not the oldest report. It's the report of the oldest archaeology. Shall we put it that way? Would that be correct? 10,000 years ago, approximately.
It's the oldest that we're doing this evening, is what you mean, yes.
That's what I mean, yeah. And we're going to the Middle East. Ancient teeth provide new insights into the lives of the world's first farming villages. There's a picture of a tomb, a grave. Archaeologists have revealed new insights into how the world's first farming villages formed communities, moved across the land, and responded to outsiders. Researchers, including the University of Liverpool's Dr. Johanna Plug, now at Oxford University, and Professor Jessica Pearson, analysed the chemical signatures in teeth from 71 people spanning the entire Neolithic period from 11,600 to 7,500 years ago. I need to qualify the use of the word or the phrase Neolithic period there. Rupert, if you want to chip in.
Oh, chip in, yes. Well, that's obviously Neolithic in the Middle East as opposed to in Britain, which all our time bands are quite a lot later in Britain. So we are talking about the Neolithic of the Middle East.
Well, we're talking about pre-pottery Neolithic, really, aren't we? If we're talking about the Middle East, I guess.
Yes,
coming into
but going into
later, yeah. The teeth were found in 5 archaeological sites in what is now modern Syria. By analysing the strontium and oxygen isotopes in the tooth and animal, the researchers, led by Durham University's Dr. Eva Fernandez Dominguez, were able to distinguish if the individuals grew up locally or whether they moved from a different area, reconstructing previous invisible patterns of mobility. This tooth analysis, combined with skeletal evidence and funerary practices, revealed that once permanent villages were firmly established, most people stayed local and strengthened ties to particular communities. The study is published in scientific reports. Headline: Women more likely to move. Now, interestingly, towards the end of the Neolithic, it appears that women were more likely than men to move between communities. This suggests patriarchal traditions in which women relocated to form marriages in new communities, whereas men remained in their home villages. The movement cycle may have evolved to avoid inbreeding within communities. The study also found that local and non-local individuals were often buried together and received the same, sometimes exceptional, funerary treatments. The researchers found that at some sites, individuals who originated elsewhere appeared fully integrated into village life, suggesting early farming communities were inclusive and open to newcomers. One striking example came from one of the sites, Tel Halula, where multiple layers of human remains were preserved within house floors. Analysis revealed that the individuals buried together in the same house included both locals and non-locals, all treated with the same funerary practices. Further evidence across the samples showed that local and non-local people were buried in close proximity in the same cemeteries and spaces, with the same elaborate burial assemblages and with similar post-mortem manipulations, such as being buried in the seat position. This indicates that mobility did not preclude social inclusion and that villages in the Neolithic period were open to assimilating newcomers fully into community life and afforded them the same distinct treatment in death. Now, it's funny that we should be talking about this kind of thing, isn't it, having just come back from Lipensky Vir, where this kind of talk about who integrated with whom and from where is the top-level conversation about the place, isn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe
it's
there's
quite
something
fascinating.
in this.
Yeah.
Not that I want to talk about Lipensky Vir. Sorry, Rupert.
No. Well, you're right. I mean, we're just saying the same thing. That's absolutely right. It just shows how widespread this, these cultural practices were. And in fact, I mean, somebody, who was it? I've missed it. Somebody said it didn't sound very surprising, something like that. And that's the point, isn't it? The more we look at places in different locations, we find that practices were very similar. Where was it that we did a lot of research a few years ago, and it was interesting? It might even have been Hazelton that it was none of the related women. There were no related women found in graves, so it was like they'd all married outside and would have been in different locations. It was only people that were. It was only the males, the local males, who were found in the burials, which was intriguing.
Nelly says where Mesolithic and Neolithic people in Lipensky Vir were buried separately. But we seem to be learning it's not quite as clear cut as that, from the latest stuff. It's stuff we need to discuss and pick apart very carefully, Nelly. But you're right, on the top level. So that's the way that it does look. So that's it for that. I mean, the area that we're talking about, of course, these places, they're sort of in an arc around Abu Huraira, so contemporary with Abu Huraira and what's the other one? Muriat. Can't remember. But the coming out of the Natufian sort of culture as well. A lot of these early farmers around there. So, Curate, shall I move on to the next one, Rupert?
Indeed.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just closing Syria's window.
Okay. This one we're whipping over to Mesopotamia. It's interesting how this evening's news items all seem to have, they're all Eastern based. There's very few of the news things that bring us close to home this week. It's all
true. Actually,
Middle Eastern, and also clumped together by and large chronologically. It's all from around about 3,000 to 4,000 BC.
Well, we got a bit of China, haven't we?
We got a bit of China,
and to be honest, when we were shortlisting, we did chuck away a few others that were not Middle East, but they just weren't that exciting, really. Which sounds very harsh to the researchers involved and archaeologists involved, but yeah.
Before we move on, just something before I forget to say, and I think it's important to frame it, when we do these lives. It's, the process of choosing these articles and why we choose to read from generally available newspaper articles rather than source from the original papers. Half of it is not laziness exactly, but our poor brains can only take so much. We do usually.
Well, do you know what? I'll cut in on you there, because it's not that. It's the fact that if we actually were going to read, we do read a lot of the original papers, but
we do.
If we were actually going to synthesize them ourselves and essentially write our own articles to report on them in a show, then we would never get anything else done at all.
That is a very, very fair point. That's the reason. And the choice of the articles is fairly arbitrary. But we like a concise article that's truthful to the paper, hopefully, and when it's not, we point that out, which is fun sometimes. No, that's the reason anyway. That's probably a better way of putting it, but there we are. Thought I'd say that. Here we go. New research challenges long-held assumptions about the origins of Mesopotamian civilization. New research uncovers how ancient tides shaped the rise of Sumer. A newly released study questions established beliefs. We like when it's established beliefs are questioned, don't we? About how urban civilization first emerged in ancient Mesopotamia, proposing that Sumer's development resulted from the complex interaction of rivers, tides, and sediment deposits at the northern edge of the Persian Gulf. Published in PLOS One, the research was conducted by Olivia Guyosan, Senior Research Emeritus in Geology and Geophysics at the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, and Reed Goodman, Assistant Professor of Environmental Social Science at the Baruch Institute of Social Ecology and Forest Science, Clemson University. The study presents a new paleo-environmental model proposing that tidal forces shaped the earliest stages of Sumerian agriculture and the rise of complex societies. These findings contribute to the ongoing Lagash archaeological project, a joint effort between Iraqi archaeologists and the Penn Museum at the University of Pennsylvania. Our results show that Sumer was literally and culturally built on the rhythms of water, said Gyosen. The cyclical patterns of tides, together with delta morphodynamics, how the form or shape of a landscape changes over time due to dynamic processes, were deeply woven into the myths, innovations, and daily lives of the Sumerians. Sumer was an ancient civilization located in southern Mesopotamia in what is now modern-day Iraq. It is often considered the cradle of civilization due to its numerous innovations, including the invention of writing, the wheel, and organized intensive agriculture. Sumerian society was structured into city-states like Uruk, or Lagash, each with its own ruler and religious institutions. The study shows that from about 7,000 to 5,000 years ago, the Persian Gulf extended farther inland, and tides pushed fresh water twice daily far into the lower reach of the Tigris and Euphrates. The scholars propose that the early communities must have harnessed this dependable hydrology, using short canals to irrigate crops and date groves, enabling high-yield agriculture without the need for large-scale infrastructure. As rivers built deltas at the head of the Gulf, tidal access to the interior was cut off. The resulting loss of tides likely triggered an ecological and economical crisis, one that required an ambitious societal response. The extensive works for irrigation and flood protection that followed ultimately came to define the golden age of Sumer. We often picture ancient landscapes as static, says Goodman, but the Mesopotamian delta was anything but. Its restless, shifting land demanded ingenuity and cooperation, sparking some of history's first intensive farming and pioneering bold social experiments. Beyond the environmental drivers, the study also explores the cultural impacts of this watery foundation, connecting the flood myths of Mesopotamia and the water-centered Sumerian pantheon. The radical conclusions of this study are clear in what we're finding at Lagash, adds Polly Pittman, director of the Penn Museum's Lagash Archaeological Project. Rapid environmental change fostered inequality, political consolidation, and the ideologies of the world's first urban society. Using ancient environmental and landscape data, new samples from the archaeological sites of ancient Lagash, and detailed satellite maps, the authors were able to recreate the coast of Sumer, what the coast of Sumer looked like long ago, and imagine how its inhabitants responded to its shape-shifting nature. Our work highlights both the opportunities and perils of social reinvention in the face of severe environmental crisis, concluded Gyosen. Beyond this modern lesson, it is always surprising to find real history hidden in myth, and truly interdisciplinary research like ours can help uncover it. So it's really fascinating and fundamental. It's one of those things that really fit into our pantheon of things that change and alter human history. And I think this is what we come across time again, isn't it, Rupert? That change and innovation doesn't happen, in places that are settled and safe and everybody's settled into a routine.
No.
It happens in the margins where there are challenges and where there's crisis and conflict.
Humans are lazy. If it ain't broke, we don't fix it. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
We did a piece. Was it a couple of years ago now? Maybe not that long, but so it was different from this, but kind of related, which was about the sophistication and extent of the irrigation in this region, between between the Euphrates and the Tigris. And it's astonishing, actually, how really together they had this whole network. There was, when you think how sophisticated it was, there's nothing primitive about it. That if you've got vast areas irrigated, and then they're responding with tidal influences as well. Yeah, it's a knowledge that many of us, the way we all function today, we just we've kind of lost that knowledge entirely, really. What percentage of people are actually clued up on that side of things? I think that applies to a lot, actually, but maybe let's not go there. No, it's an extraordinary thing, though. The fact that that they're showing quite how much tidal shifts were influencing the cultural changes there, I think is interesting. Further research needs to be done.
Indeed.
He said, raising his hand in the air.
No, I mean, but the paper itself is highly technical, and that is quite mind-boggling, the extent to which the study has been made. So hats off to them. NB, we had slated to cover this story back in September, I think it was. For some reason, it got sidelined. So it's a little bit behind the times. So it was out sometime in September, I think. Oh, welcome, Elizabeth McLaughlin. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on Patreon. We look forward to seeing you around. Huzzah, indeed.
Excellent.
Bob 2783. How do those rivers lie? Steep or low descent? A very low descent. We're talking about the Tigris and the Euphrates, I presume. Having stood at a bank of the Euphrates at some point, as it saunters past Shanlerfa in that region, these are quite wide. Certainly, by the time they start forming the delta in this area, they're very slow and meandering, though wide. And
Sibylla said, didn't the rivers change course many times? Yes, and in fact, in recent years, they've done huge amounts of work in Turkey on specifically that point. They've I can't actually remember off the top of my head, but Lee Clare was telling us when we were in Turkey about the amount of work that they had done on the Euphrates in particular. But I think that it's one of those places topographically that it seems. Maybe it's because it's. I don't know if I'm absolutely right in saying, but you certainly get the impression that none of it is fast. Is particularly fast flowing. In comparison with many other rivers, and maybe from that point of view, it does make it easier to mess around with the actual course of the river flow. Don't know. But Sibylla said, no, I meant ancient times. Well, as I was saying a minute ago about the extent of the irrigation that they did between both the Tigris and the Euphrates. I mean, clearly they influenced it very, very heavily. There's an interesting map I don't. Do you remember the name of the article, Mike? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Do you remember the name of the article the piece that we did? I'll see if I can find it and post it somewhere, because there's a very good illustration or map in that paper that shows the researchers did a huge amount of work on actually mapping all the irrigation channels between the two rivers, and it's actually mind-boggling to see how much work that they had done thousands of years ago to completely irrigate that plateau, or what would have been a delta, I suppose. Yeah, amazing.
It wasn't all that long ago that we did it. If you have a look while I'm reading this piece, Rupert, if you,
Yeah, okay.
But to sort it out and find a link to the piece we did, if not
you talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm moving along to 6,000-year-old chewing gum, revealing clues on Neolithic gender roles. Neolithic people seem to have enjoyed chewing gum just as much as a bored kid in calculus. I'm just letting that settle for a moment. Doesn't ring. Does that sentence ring for you, Rupert? Anyway, their discarded wads are even revealing surprising details on how human life as far back as 6,000 years ago. Okay. Tar brewed from the bark of birch trees, the world's oldest known synthetic material. Neolithic communities in the European Alps used this malleable, tacky substance to attach handles to stone, blades, repair pottery, and gnaw on while they worked. It wasn't just in the European Alps. Name me a place where this didn't happen, where they don't have birch bark talk. I think it was pretty extensive. Rupert, sorry to distract you. You're doing something else. Anyway, the precise reason.
To you.
Oh, nothing new there then. The precise reason for chewing tar remains unclear, but it has been suggested that it was chewed for medicinal purposes, as it contains natural components with antimicrobial properties, write a team of archaeologists led by Anna White from the University of Copenhagen. The team analysed 30 birch tar artefacts from 9 sites in the Alps region, most from lake settlements up to 6,300 years old. 12 of these tar pieces were loose wads, many of which had telltale signs of chewing. The great thing about adhesives is that they tend to collect all kinds of stuff from the environment, both accidentally and intentionally. Substances found in preserved tar, such as pine resin, may have been added deliberately to change the birch tar's material qualities, which certainly altered the taste. Like white wine gets a bit changed around becomes Retsina. Anyway, meanwhile, samples of the human oral microbiome become incidentally embedded in the tar when it is chewed along with food or other materials from between the chewer's teeth. Some of the pieces contain DNA from linseed and poppy seeds, though it's unclear if the latter was eaten as food or for its opioid effects. In 19 of the samples, ancient human DNA has been preserved with enough fidelity that in some cases the team was able to identify the sex of the person who had chewed it. The presence of human and oral microbial DNA in some of the samples suggests that tar was chewed in some cases by multiple individuals, the authors write. The human DNA also enables us to determine the sex of those who chewed the tar, offering insights into gendered practices in the past, while plant and animal DNA shed light on past diets and the possible use of additives. Analysis of the organic residue and ancient DNA trapped within the tar reveal male DNA in the 10 stone tools where the tar had been used as an adhesive, while female DNA was present in the tar used to repair all 3 items of pottery examined in the study. It's possible that chewing was an important part of working with the tar as an adhesive material, since it hardens on cooling and chewing would soften it. But the addition of saliva tends to reduce the tar's adhesive properties, which only return after being reheated. This may explain why we find less oral microbial DNA in the hafted samples and the ceramic tars in some of the chewed pieces, the authors note. Given the human remains from this era are scarce, the ancient chewing gum offers an unlikely route to to better understanding our prehistory, which would otherwise be lost to time. And footnote, dispose of your next piece of chewing gum wisely. It could end up preserving your DNA and your dinner for thousands of years. Okay, note taken.
Yes.
I mean, illuminating but straightforward piece. I mean, I reiterate the thing about the ubiquity of birch bark tar, from the Nordic region right across Europe and down, wherever it's available, I guess. But it helps paint a picture, doesn't it? I guess. I mean, is there any surprise there that they used it as an adhesive? That there's male DNA in the adhesive used when it's used as an adhesive for arrow tips and other tools, and for the repair of pottery in this instance. In female DNA.
The repair of pottery was the female DNA.
Yeah.
No, it's not a surprise, and I think that we do well to take note of that. Really, I mean, there's people balk at all these notions of gender-based roles or what have you. But the simple reality is that there are certain things that, certainly around the house, there are certain things that women think of doing that men just don't. And that's not to say it's not to say that that's the way it should be. It's
sad,
just
but true.
It is true. It is true. I mean, the amount of times that, and I'm not just talking about my household. It's just something I am very aware of. That
so much so.
That you ask the average bloke, when was the last time you washed your kitchen floor? And they look at you quizzically as if you're speaking another language. Whereas I can walk over to the house when I've stopped working, or for a bit, and I go over to the house, and Julia will say, "Oh, don't go in the kitchen. I've just washed the floor." And you know what I mean. I think there is that thing about In fact, you see, God, I guess it.
As long as we're not making excuses, Rupert. As long as we're not making excuses.
No, absolutely. And I, it's funny, isn't it? That when you think back, I was going to say when you think back thousands of years, we're not that old. But when you think about prehistoric civilizations or cultures, anyway, I don't mean civilizations at all, where it's no surprise, it makes complete sense that women are looking after the kids while the blokes go out and risk getting killed. And it maybe it's just something that's in our genes.
Kimberly Charlton points at an interesting thing. She says the fact that some work was done by women and other by men does not mean that women were lacking in importance or power. Absolutely not. But it's interesting that thought did creep in. It became a thing that women's work became less appreciated in latter days.
Oh, I think in latter days, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think back then they would have been equally valued for what they are, and the balance would be much more organic and appreciated. Don't know, and certainly,
I think that particularly when you look at indigenous tribes around the world, then there's no question of women being inferior to men at all. It's the roles are equally important, and it's interesting. We're going we're going off at a tangent here, but it is fascinating when you look at the cultures around the world where women are oppressed, and it raises a whole different set of questions. I mean, I've said it many times. It's only a weak man that's frightened of a strong woman, I think it is interesting when you see cultures. I mean, particularly some of the things that have been going on in the Middle East over the last couple of years, where when the women started rising up against their oppression. And what was the way the men dealt with it? You know, beat them to death. It's I don't know what it is. Why the men are so terrified of the women being empowered. It's a strange thing. Strange thing. Anyway, I risk getting politically whatevered.
Before that happens, let us move swiftly along. So this, and we're still out there in the Middle East. This, though, from the University of Coimbra. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Oh, the University of Coimbra.
It's Coimbra, yes. I've never come across before. I think you have words to say. You have.
Well, I just think I think it warrants a little nugget of information, because I've never heard of the University of Coimbra either.
There we go.
Yeah. And the University of Coimbra, folks, is a public research university in Coimbra in Portugal. First established in Lisbon in 1290, it went through a number of relocations until moving permanently to Coimbra in 1537. There you go. Now you know.
Thank you so much. University of Coimbra team discovers monumental building shedding new light on the origins of civilization. That's twice in one evening. New light on the origins of civilization. Crikey. I don't think it stops here either. The latest discoveries from the Kani Shahi Archaeological Project offer fresh insights into the early history of Mesopotamia. Back there again, you see, in the Zagros Mountains. And help, just to be clear, the Zagros Mountains are quite a long way from Mesopotamia. So these are separate, and help clarify the sequence of human occupation over millennia. I think that picture, if I can get it to parts, yes, there it is. Got quite a big tell there, an excavation in the foreground. This is the thing with archaeological excavations. Sometimes it's hard to blot out the shape of the excavation itself and not integrate it as part of the what they're excavating. So you've got to regard that double diamond as a window to look at what they're going down on. So there's two excavations, one at the top of the tell, one lower down. Anyway, I digress. Researchers from the Kani Shahi Archaeological Project have uncovered a monumental building at the Kani Shahi site in Iraqi Kurdistan. Project is led by the Centre for Studies in Archaeology, Arts and Heritage Science, the University of Coimbra, in partnership with the University of Cambridge and the Slemani Antiques and Heritage Directorate. The discovery sheds new light on the early history of Mesopotamia and the Zagros Mountains, helping to clarify the sequence of human occupation over millennia, particularly during the 4th and 3rd millennia BC. During the 2025 excavation campaign, the team uncovered an official monument building on the upper part of the Kani Shahi mound. That'll be that upper bit there, which may have served as a cultic space. I suppose we should hold that thought. The building dates to the Uruk period. It's 3,300 to 3,100 BC, named after the city of Uruk, recognized as the world's first metropolis, which we were obviously talking about earlier, metropolis and the city-states down there, which had clear contacts with southern Mesopotamia and the mountainous regions to the east, explain CEAA CP archaeologists Andre Tome, Maria de la Concha, Concepcion Lopez and Stephen Renette. If the monumental nature of this building is confirmed, which we're now investigating in detail, the discovery could transform our understanding of Uruk's relationship with surrounding regions, showing that sites such as Karni Shahi were not marginal, but rather key actors in shaping cultural and political networks, the researchers add. The International Archaeological team also recovered a fragment of gold pendant reflecting social displays of wealth and access to precious metals within an apparently peripheral community, and a cylinder seal from the Uruk period, an artifact associated with administrative practices, control, and legitimization of power. They've also identified wall cones. Remind me to illustrate what a wall cone is later.
I will remind you.
Decorative elements are typical of monumental architecture and widely attested in Uruk, which reinforce the interpretation of the building as a public or ceremonial structure. Karni Shahi is regarded as the most important archaeological site east of the Tigris River for understanding the sequence of human occupation from the early Bronze Age through the 3rd millennium BC, continuing to reveal new insights into the earliest social and political developments in the Fertile Crescent, known as the cradle of civilization, for reasons it seems we have been discussing earlier, the archaeologists emphasize. These and previous excavations at Karni Shahi confirm the site's long-term occupation. For example, in the flatter area of the site, excavations reach levels dating to the Hellenistic Parthian period, 247 BC to AD 224, and the Neo-Assyrian period, 911 to 609 BC. The Karni Shahi archaeological project has been ongoing since 2013, led by André Tomé, Mira de la Concepcion Lopez, Steve Renette, and Michael Lewis, CEAAPCP researcher, as assistant director. Project team, it's just about the team and the funding. If I'm just do a full screen share there a moment, this grey ovals with the cylinder seals, you see how they work, rolled across the clay, produce the images of the seal. So it's fascinating, you know, in this this show that we've got, you know, we're over in the East and sharing with you things that are linked in this way. I mean, I'm still getting my head around the importance of this, but you really do think of Mesopotamia and the north end of the Persian Gulf, you know, that area where the delta and the between the two rivers, Tigris and Euphrates, those floodplains, as absolutely being central, and I guess they were. But the fact that you've got this place, which seems to be showing signs of, or, you know, not equal, but mirrored development in an area which you wouldn't necessarily associate, you know, with the same kind of fertility that happens in the Tigris, Euphrates Valley, you know, in Mesopotamia. Because it's in the foothills of the Zagros Mountains. You know, we're talking, you know, quite a bit northeast here. I don't know how many miles it is away. I don't know if you've got any thoughts about that are helpful.
Helpful thoughts? No, I just think humans are staggeringly resourceful. But you do prompt me to, because I'd forgotten with us. Oh, I'm sorry, Cat. I just wondered what that noise was. I've just pushed my chair back and wheeled my chair over my cat's tail. What are you doing sleeping there? Honestly, the cat's not well either. He's just...
Yeah.
Sorry. I mentioned earlier on about the film that we did, the movie that we did a little while back, that was actually talking about the irrigation throughout between the Tigris and Euphrates, and I did paste the link to it in the chat. But it's actually called. So if you just go to movies on the channel, videos on the channel, it's called "Discovering the 7,000-Year-Old Canals of Ancient Sumer."
Very good.
And it's not that far down.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And it
those of you that are
it
interested.
probably has links to the original papers in the description. Hopefully,
Yes, it
I
does.
did my
Yeah.
job properly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Lots of water in the Zagros Mountains. Yeah, right. Thank you. Just in case I was portraying an incorrect picture of it. Yes, you were going to remind me, but I've reminded myself. What is
do the cones. Do the cones.
The wall cones.
Wall cones.
So I'm dragging this picture. Hopefully it will pass. There we go. What you're looking at there on the screen are actually what are known as wall cones. So if you can imagine a cornetto sort of cone, you're looking at the flat end of the cone.
Other ice creams are available.
And I remember seeing this very sort of section of wall. It's in the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford. And I'd never seen it before, this kind of thing. It rather intrigued me then, but I'm glad to have an opportunity to share. But in the Mesopotamian region, and certainly in Europe, Uruk, this is from a different tell. But what we've got here is sort of deep plaster walls in which these cones are inserted, and the ends of the cones here would have different colours on them, and they had mosaic designs created by the insertion of these cones into the plaster, with the flat ends of them facing outwards. So it's a remarkable sort of mosaic stroke honeycomb effect that seems to have been ubiquitous on important buildings in the Mesopotamian region. That's all I got. So more than that I cannot say. But I hope that helps illustrate the idea of a wall cone. Okay. That's all I got with that.
Very good.
Rupert, shall we move along?
Yeah.
Okay, where we're going. And we may be moving on. What?
No, I know where we're going now. Carry on.
Yeah, it's still in the Middle East. Archaeologists uncover 5,000-year-old ceremonial site in Jordan. By the way, guys, anybody is primed to play the, I wouldn't claim it's the Prehistory guys drinking game, but some of you may thought there might be opportunity. There may be slight opportunity here to partake in the, but hold on to your hats.
Nellie messaged right at the top of the show that her IPA was uncorked.
Okay, good. Anyway, so if anybody's got anything stronger going out there, watch how you play the game. Don't want you falling off your chair, or if you've got work to go to in the morning, you may want to think twice about watching the rest of the show, actually. Anyway, point is, there's a familiar sight, isn't it? A dolmen. And you'd think, where is that in Central Europe, or in the Northwest, or even somewhere in Wales? But no, it's a dolmen found in Murrigat in Jordan. I'll read on. A research team led by the University of Copenhagen has uncovered a remarkable early Bronze Age ritual landscape at Murrigat in Jordan.
Cheers.
Cheers, folks. The discovery can shed new light on how ancient communities responded to social and environmental change. How did ancient cultures respond to crises and the collapse of established social order? The 5,000-year-old early Bronze Age site of Murrigat in Jordan, which has been extensively excavated by archaeologists from the University of Copenhagen, may hold an answer. Let's see. Murrigat emerged after the decline of the so-called Chalcolithic culture, 4,500 to 3,500 BCE, a period known for its domestic settlement, rich symbolic traditions, copper artifacts, for which, of course, the Chalcolithic is named, and small cultic shrines. Researchers believe that climate shifts and social disruptions may have led to the collapse of the culture, and in response, early Bronze Age groups began creating new forms of ritual expression.
Cheers.
We shouldn't laugh. They probably did. Instead of the large domestic settlements with smaller shrines established during the Chalcolithic, our excavations at early Bronze Age Murigat showed clusters of dolmens, stone burial monuments, standing stones, and large megalithic structures that point to ritual gatherings and communal burials rather than living quarters, says project leader and archaeologist Suzanne Kerner from the University of Copenhagen. More than 95 remains have been documented by the archaeologists, and the central hilltop of the site contains stone-built...
Say that again. It warrants repeating that. More than 95 dolmen remains. I mean, that's a lot of dolmens in one little patch.
Isn't it just? And the central hilltop of the site contains stone-built enclosures and carved bedrock features that also suggest ceremonial use. These visible markers may have helped redefine identity, territory, and social roles at a time in a time with strong central authority. Kerner points out, Murigat gives us, we believe, fascinating new insights into how early societies coped with disruption by building monuments, redefining social roles, and creating new forms of community. Excavations at Murigat have revealed early Bronze Age pottery, large communal bowls, grinding stones, flint tools, animal horn cores, and a few copper objects, all pointing to ritual activity and possible feasting.
Yes.
The site's layout and visibility all suggest it served as a meeting point for different groups of the region. Very, very interesting. I mean, the top line thing is I presume because of the chronologies involved and the character of the settlement changing quite abruptly there, therefore the assumption that it was a response to something that happened, or is this too much fishing in the dark and coming up with something to say because it needs something to say about it? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. I mean, it sometimes sounds disrespectful to the people that are doing the work, and I don't mean that at all. And of course, when we talk about doing the work, there is this whole article by Kerner to read, which is at the background of all this, with these pictures and a great deal. Interesting picture that from... So what does that remind you of, Rupert?
Sorry. I need to move the window out of the way so I can see what you're looking at. I can't even see that. Sorry. Tell me, what are you looking at?
Well, words won't do it. It's a visual thing. You can't see that picture.
In that case, no. Well, I can see it very small. It's a thumbnail for me.
Oh, okay.
No, it's nothing you're doing wrong. I've just got 10 open windows on my screen.
I see. Well, okay, I'm sorry. In that case, I'll tell you what it reminds me of, and that's the quarry out the back of GÖBEKLI TEPE.
Okay.
Where Lee showed us where they were about to lift a T pillar out of the limestone there, and but it broke, and it's still there in the quarry.
In situ, yeah.
It's the same thing, stone monuments happen where stone is available, and like on Orkney, the building materials are under your feet, and the ability to prise limestone apart like this, makes its availability. And what do people do? Build stuff with it. And the form of the dolmen, ubiquitous.
Yeah.
That's amazing. It's another discussion entirely, isn't it? But I've got nothing more to say about the article myself. Rupert, you?
No, not at all. It's sorry. Let me just move that window out of the way so I can actually get back to what we're talking about. No, I find the number of dolmens here intriguing because dolmens are not the sort of thing that you see in this region, particularly, are they?
Well, I
there's
think you'd have to
loads of
do a
them,
bit of a background check on that, because I think they do crop up more than we think. I don't know
well,
for sure, but I mean,
they crop up, but I can't think of anywhere else in the Middle East where there's this intensity.
in,
I mean intensity. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Because obviously there's loads if you go to the Far East, and there's loads if you go further west. But this area in the middle, you have them every now and again, but not getting on 100 in one zone. Anyway, that's what I find intriguing there.
Isn't it Korea that is the country with the most dolmens?
The Korean Peninsula has got 40,000 dolmens on it. Yeah, staggering.
Who knew? That's a useful little tidbit for you. So next we're heading to China. Are you finished there? I didn't. Was there anything in the chat that we need to pay attention to? Nelly says, and the biggest too is in Korea. Yes. Didn't we include it? Didn't we include it in one of our shows as a list show of incredible megaliths from all over the world? Didn't we include it in that? The biggest one?
We did.
Yeah.
Because it weighs, I can't remember, is it 200 tons or something they estimate that capstone to be?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Anyway, there's a story alongside with that as well. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. China. ChinaDaily.com. Excavations unearths 5,000-year-old royal tomb amid capital speculation. So, a tomb dating back approximately 5,000 years, presumed to be the grave of a prehistoric king. I'm so glad to be doing something about China. I'm always looking for. It's always, we know nothing, but it's really great to have little avenues into stuff that we don't touch or have any context for. Yeah. So, for that sake, I hope bear with us. Has been discovered in the ruins at a ruin site in central China's Henan province, with more than 350 artifacts unearthed to date. Located in the Wangzhuang ruins in the city of Yongcheng, the tomb covers more than 17 square meters, a super large size for that period. The Wangzhuang ruins belong to the middle and late periods of Dawenkou culture, that's 4,000 to 2,600 BC, of the late Neolithic age. Since 2023, experts from the Henan Province Institute of Cultural Heritage and Archaeology, the Beijing-based Capital Normal University, and other institutions have jointly conducted excavations at Wangzhuang. The latest discovery indicates that the Wangzhuang remains are not an ordinary settlement, but rather the capital of a prehistoric kingdom. This is the sort of talk we like, says Zhu Ganghua, Associate Professor at Capital Normal University. The tomb, measuring between 4.52 to 4.8 meters in length and 3.47 to 3.68 meters in width, features both inner and outer coffins. It contains many burial items, including more than 100 pieces of pottery, nearly 200 small jade ornaments, bone tools, and animal remains such as pig mandibles, symbolizing wealth. Is that the pig mandibles alone, or the jade ornaments? I presume the whole collection.
Good question.
According to Zhu, the ancient tomb was once severely damaged. The tomb's owner's remains were removed and many significant artifacts were looted, he says. Most of the tomb owner's skeletal remains within the wooden coffin are missing, with only a few toe bones left. Small jade ornaments were scattered inside and outside the coffin. Many stone ceremonial blades were deliberately broken, the archaeologist adds. He notes that the findings suggest a deliberate act of tomb destruction shortly after the burial. Further research is underway to determine the reason. Good luck with that, finding reasons in prehistory. My goodness.
Absolutely.
This year, 45 tombs of Dawenkou culture were discovered at the Huangshan ruins, with 27 already excavated. Some of the tombs are of higher status, yielding a wealth of artifacts, and many contain pig mandibles, says Liu Haiwang, leader of the joint archaeological team. More than 1,000 burial artifacts, including pottery and jade items, have been unearthed from the Huangzhou ruins this year. The exquisite pottery, stone tools, and jade artifacts vividly demonstrate the division of labour and the level of productivity at the time, Liu says. The richness of the burial objects is closely linked to the size of the tombs, indicating that clear social hierarchy and class stratification had already emerged. Just blow that up a little bit so you can get a better look at that, the detail. That's a piece of decorated ivory, and it's just a good idea to remind ourselves that is old. When we're talking 4,000 to 3,000 BC, is that right? Have I got that right? Yes, I am.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, what excites archaeologists even more is the artifacts unearthed from the latest tomb suggest that the Huangshan ruins were a cultural melting pot in prehistoric times where diverse cultures intersected and exchanged influences. The ancient residents were clearly influenced by the cultures of the eastern and central regions, as well as cultural elements from the Yangtze River basin, says Li Xinghui, Deputy Director of the Institute of Ancient History at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. According to Zhu, customs observed at the tomb, such as the burial of water deer teeth and the deformed occipital bone of the deceased, align closely with those of the Dawenkou culture. However, excavations have also unveiled typical artifacts from the contemporaneous Yangshao culture, such as a small-mouthed, pointed-bottomed jars and small-mouthed shoulder jars, indicating a cultural interplay between the Dawenkou and Yangshao traditions in the region. Archaeologists highlighted the innovative spirit and artistic prowess of the ancient inhabitants of Wangzhuang, who skillfully blended various cultural influences to create a distinct group of pottery. Its diverse discoveries testify to the initial exchanges of early Chinese civilization, providing evidence for its nature of diversity, Li says. The site offers important examples for studying the cultural fusion across different prehistoric regions. Like I said, glad to uncover stuff in China. I tell you what, sorry, go on, Rupert.
No, I was just going to say, I'll tell you what this flags up for me.
Tell me.
Is that, the thing is that you said it yourself right at the top. You're glad to be reporting something from China because we get so little from China. And the issue is because there's, archaeology, amazing archaeology being done, and the papers never get translated into English. And you read through a paper like this, and it tells you, for example, just one sentence there indicating a cultural interplay between the Dawenkou and Yangshao traditions in the region. Well, have you ever heard of the Dawenkou culture? Have you heard of the Yangshao culture? Some of you folks might have done. I've never heard of either of them. And it just shows that the way this article is written, that, clearly these are names that you'd be familiar with if you were Chinese. But we just don't get these papers translated, which is a real shame. because some of the archaeology coming from the Far East and China in particular is just staggering. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, I interrupted you. What you?
Oh no! I was just going to say that it tantalizes me particularly because I'm very fortunate. There's an old stately home called forgotten the name of it now momentarily. Anyway, it's a stately home that's sort of half art gallery, and it's a splendid place. It does modern art, but it's got a fantastic collection of Chinese artifacts, including stuff dating way back to this period. And what's not to be underestimated is their skill, incredible skills with pottery, way before anybody else. I'm thinking of a particular piece, which I don't have a picture of, but do you know that those triple-legged pots, they can be quite large, which, which are sort of integrated vessels in themselves. You can imagine, that they stand firm on their three pointy legs, but the legs are integrated parts of the pot itself. So if they're standing over a fire, the heat would be absorbed by the legs into whatever liquid or food or whatever is inside. Extraordinary looking things, and show. I mean, you want to. If somebody told you to design a tripod pot that stood on its own like that and wouldn't fall to bits as far as that you applied some heat to it, you'd have a tough job coming up with it, I guess. Anyway, we've got loads of other stuff, very tantalizing stuff, very characterful stuff down there in the museum, in the collection. That was all, Rupert. That was all. So I will move us along. This is more in sort of your wheelhouse, because you've been, investigating the background to the development of bronze, and different types of bronze. So, yeah.
This is sorry. Hold on a second while I. Too many windows open, Michael. Hold on. Yeah.
You're having a pleasant evening, though, Rupert. Is it all right?
Yes. Cheers.
Is your cat recovered?
She's fast asleep on the floor behind me. I think I don't know if the chair was too hot or what, but animals.
Before
no, the arsenical bronze.
Yeah. But before we go on, I was just going to say, so many people in the chat that we know so well be aware of the GÖBEKLI TEPE to Stonehenge project and how we just come back from Serbia. The clues kind of in the name for the project. We're trying to build the narrative right from from these places, from the Middle East, right across Europe, and ending up on the Wiltshire Plains. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. We reckon. We're so glad we had this idea. Nevertheless, we've got loads of stuff to share with you, thanks to the donations made by people to our Buy Me a Coffee campaign, which has been going on for some time. Obviously, we have been to Turkey twice now. We've got stuff from Brittany. We have footage from Stonehenge and elsewhere, and now from Lipensky Vir, all thanks to people donating to the Buy Me a Coffee campaign. Coffees are $5. Is it $5 or £5? Anyway, whichever it is, they're only $5. Good news is you can buy us as many coffees as you like, because there's still loads of work to be done. The link obviously down in the description below. If you want to find out more about that. Sorry, Rupert, you were going to say.
Nella's just put a comment saying, "Where are you going next?"
Very, very good question. There's so much to do. Top of our minds at the moment are the lake dwellings, isn't it? Not in the Alps and beyond, and maybe Albania.
Yeah.
Though there's some stuff we need to do in Greece, and there's some stuff we need to do further up the Danube, as far as band ceramic culture is concerned, and more in the Mediterranean. say Malta, say the sorry, Rupert.
Sorry, it's just there's a comment. There's somebody who went anonymous, and I don't know who Not Wow is, but Not Wow, who's been commenting all night. Hello, Not Wow. I don't know who you are. Said I'm behind on my coffees. I'm coming into money, and you'll get a caffeine shock.
Oh, oh, bless you, kind sir or person. Sorry,
Or madam person, yes.
Or madam, yes.
Oh, hey.
What can we say?
It's do you know, it's an interesting one because there are places that we've talked a lot about going, and then places that we know we need to go, and it's sometimes very difficult to decide in what order we should tackle them. But we don't take these decisions lightly.
Yeah. But anyway, we need your help to proceed to the next stage, wherever it's going. I'm sorry we don't have a thing at the top of our list. We couldn't answer Nellie's question, in other words, to entice you with, saying that you can help us, get you to somewhere exotic. Yeah, definitely Malta. Although, strangely, the thing is with Malta and these Mediterranean sites, they don't easily fit into the narrative of the first wave of the Neolithic.
No,
they
don't.
Although they're fantastic from a megalithic point of view, megalithism started out in these places long after the first wave of the farmers had passed through and begun building big stuff in stone in Brittany. So it was a sort of reflective wave of megalithism that came back from Brittany. So, but on the other hand, it would be rude not to visit these places. So, we'll fit them in as best we can. But there's a lot more of the story to tell. I think probably, and it's something that people don't often think about, the lake dwellings, as Christmas Moore says, are so important and underreported as far as this complete narrative is concerned. So, yeah, with your help, that'll get us there and help us to tell you the story. Thank you to those that have already contributed, and thank you if you're even thinking of helping us along the way. Loads more on the Buy Me a Coffee site, which explains a bit more about what we're doing. And, of course, in the GÖBEKLI TEPE to Stonehenge playlist on YouTube, you see what we've done so far, brought back from GÖBEKLI TEPE from Turkey and elsewhere. Okay, onward. I'm glad I said that. Where was I? Just about to take us to... Oh, Egypt! Well, there's a turn up for the books. Discovery reveals arsenical, is that the way to pronounce it, Rupert? Arsenical
bronze, yes.
Arsenical bronze production on Egypt's Elephantine Island during the Middle Kingdom. A recent open access study published in Archaeological unveils the first direct evidence of arsenical bronze production on Elephantine Island, Aswan, dating to Egypt's Middle Kingdom, 2000 to 1650 BCE. The research reveals a far more intricate metallurgical tradition in ancient Egypt than previously understood. Crucially, the study identifies spece, a slag-like alloy rich in arsenic and iron, and in this case also several percents of lead as an intentional reagent in the production process. This challenges earlier assumptions that arsenical copper in Egypt originated solely from the accidental inclusion of trace elements in copper ore. Instead, the evidence suggests that the metallurgists of the Middle Kingdom were applying controlled, intentional methods to elevate arsenic content, significantly enhancing the strength and durability of their bronze alloys and key attributes, especially for tools and weapons. A bit about the international team, and they were allowed to use the laboratory facilities of the Institut Français d'Archéologie Orientale, sort of academic details. So Dr. Odler, corresponding author of the paper, notes the find radically alters our perception of Egyptian metallurgy, demonstrating that technological innovation was already well established by the early 2nd millennium BC and before, as we have identified even earlier fragments of species, which will be investigated later on. Kamoshek, main author of the paper, adds the integration of species indicates a much deeper understanding of alloy production processes than previously credited to ancient Egyptian craftsmen and provides fresh insights on their capabilities. The discovery also bears wider implications for ancient trade networks. Species, typically a byproduct of metalworking processes, implies access to specialized materials and suggests that ancient metallurgists were engaging in early forms of resource exchange and refinement processes. Not really a lot of surprise there. Techniques applied do not allow the identification of the source of species, but the best guess scenario is that the species was processed from arsenopyrites. Thank you. Occurring in the Egyptian Eastern Desert, procured either by ancient Egyptians themselves or local non-Egyptian populations living in the deserts. Contents of lead within species complicates the interpretation of lead isotope ratios used for the provenance of studies of ancient metalwork, as lead from species would shift the lead isotopes of copper ores. Exceptional find offers a rare window into the technological creativity of one of the world's earliest advanced civilizations, reshaping narratives around early metal production. It's anticipated to prompt renewed investigations into resource procurement, technological knowledge transfer, and trade in the ancient Near East. Now, Rupert, I mean, this one, you were responsible for choosing most of these articles tonight, but I think this one particularly, even though we rarely do Egypt, this one sprang out at you. Hello, John Schuster, thank you so much. That's very kind. That's very kind
of you, John.
Much appreciated. That'll help us
very much.
Help us get to Albania.
Yes, thank you.
Important to interrupt you.
Well, the thing that gets me about this kind of technology, David, are you still there? So, David, one of our patrons who we know well, and David experiments with making bronze, and we've been, he keeps me up to date on half of the things that he's doing. And the experiments with, how much tin, what happens if you mix different percentages of tin with your copper? Hello, David. Go on. I'm glad you're still there. Just, what happens to your bronze when you change the percentages of tin? And what got me about this in particular, we've heard of arsenical bronze, and we know that, basically, if whatever alloy you're creating, so you take whatever metal, and in this instance, arsenical bronze, that percentage of arsenic that was more naturally occurring, as they said in this article, that originally they thought that it was contamination in the copper that actually created this form of bronze that was better than pure copper. And now they've found from this that no, they were deliberately mixing arsenic and lead and what have you. And it's purely and simply that what got me about this was, that we look at these things from a position of however many centuries of an understanding of metalworking, that you do this and this and this and this happens. But going back to a period like this, how long had these people been aware that in mixing different quantities of how do you go about that sourcing of minerals and extracting the ores from those minerals and then experimenting with what happens when you mix them in different quantities. It's just such a huge thing to have done without the scientific technology that we have, or we have had in the last few centuries. I just found it quite staggering, really, that space is it's not a straightforward substance, is it? It comes in many forms, and it might come naturally, and it might come from as a waste product. I'm just staggered by how they would refine these working processes. So yeah, that's why I pulled it out.
Yeah. How does it, in this period, because we've done a fair amount when we've done stuff about trade, and particularly when we were doing stuff, we've done stuff about ships and shipwrecks recently. Does any of this sort of play into that? Trade up and down the Mediterranean, because there were some eye-opening things we discovered about trade generally in the Mediterranean, and tin from coming from Cornwall and things like that. And who's it just said they didn't know that that there was tin in Northern Ireland. Bobber 2783. I didn't know there was tin in Northern Ireland. Well, kind of northern. Always associated tin with Southern Ireland, of course, and with Cornwall. But I just wondered, does it feed into the conversation, this thing here? Because it's an important.
Does, but
and what maybe we should do something special about it, because arsenical lead and
bronze,
yes. Is an important thing, distinction, isn't it? Because we talk blithely about the Neolithic and the Chalcolithic and the Bronze
yeah. Well,
Age.
generally speaking, arsenical bronze was being made on large scales before bronze as we know it, with copper and tin.
Yeah, that's
but I think when you look at the trade routes that we've been talking about, before this evening, trade routes that we've been talking about over the last couple of years, that we're talking about considerably earlier than this, and more recently, particularly when we've been looking at the Aegean, and we're looking at, suddenly you've got evidence for established trade routes that go back over 8,000 years. So if we know that those trade routes existed 8,000 years ago and more, then clearly those trade routes were solidly established by the time you get to the Bronze Age. These people have been interacting with each other over huge distances for a long time by now. So, I have no clarity in my head at all about this. I just find this particular aspect of their technology to be quite extraordinary, and yes, questions must be asked.
Arsenic and old glaze, Lorelei.
Oh God,
yeah. I was in Arsenic and Old Lace once upon a time, the stage play version.
Bloody hell, were you?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, Taunton, many moons ago. That is such a good, fun play.
What a hoot
film it was. Yeah. Anyway, we could witter on forever and a day about that. If you're interested, we have done a couple of things about ships and shipwrecks and the sea generally, as it took our fancy a few months ago. So they're down, in the list somewhere. So, hey ho. We have more stuff to do, but actually, this is the final article of the evening. Hold on to your hats. Yeah?
Yes.
Shall I move on, Rupert?
Yeah, off you go. I'm ready.
Right. A 5,000-year-old Canaanite wine press has been discovered in Israel. Researchers discovered the press along with a ritualistic animal-shaped tea set outside the ancient site of Tel Megiddo. Near the ancient Palestine, actually have a look at that just, I don't want to sort of shoot past it, but that is the base floor of the three-holed treading surface of the wine press that they have discovered. So near the ancient Palestinian city of Megiddo in northern Israel, archaeologists have discovered a cache of ritualistic artifacts and a 5,000-year-old wine press. Carved into bedrock rock by Canaanites, the pagan peoples who inhabited Palestine through the early Bronze Age, the wine press is among the oldest of its kind ever found in Israel. We knew the Canaanites drank wine, and we knew wine was being produced. Excavation co-director Amir Golani, an archaeologist at the Israel Antiquities Authority, tells Haaretz and Ruth Schuster. Now, for the first time, we have the smoking gun of actual production. That's Mr. Amir Golani. You'll see him again in a moment. The wine press is comprised of a treading surface, a sloping shallow basin where grapes were crushed by stomping feet, and a collection vat into which grape juice flowed. According to a statement from the IAA, the press dates back to the area's first period of urbanization. Megiddo is one of the largest and most important archaeological sites in Israel, Golani tells the Times of Israel's Rosella Tercetin. It's situated in a strategic location with water source and fertile lands. It's an ideal location for settlements, and settlement at Megiddo began during the Neolithic period, already more than 10,000 years ago. Megiddo is situated in the ancient region of Canaan, which enveloped Palestine, modern Israel, and parts of Syria. Canaan features heavily in the Bible's Old Testament as a divine promised land for Israelites. The region's native peoples lived in tribes, worshipped multiple gods, and spoke an archaic form of Hebrew. As well as the wine press, the recent excavations revealed artifacts likely related to Canaanite worship buried in several ritualistic pits. In a deposit that also included large ceramic vessels, researchers unearthed a small broken model of a temple. The clay miniature building illustrates what the real temples in the Canaanite Late Bronze Age may have looked like, Golani said in a video from the IAA. This is a much less refined, smaller and simple artifact than other temple models found in the past, Golani tells the Times. The simplicity might be a reflection of a more folksy ritual. Cheers. In another pit, researchers discovered what looks like an ancient tea set. Golani tells Haaretz. A clay pot shaped like a ram with a large hole in its back and a spout in its mouth was found along with a set of small bowls. These date back to around 1275 BCE, some 1,700 years after the wine press was hewn. The ram-shaped vessel may have hosted a valuable liquid such as milk, oil, wine, or other beverage, say Golani and excavation co-director Barak Zin, an archaeologist at the IAA, in the statement. The liquid could have been drunk directly from the spout or poured into a smaller vessel for consumption, as a votive gift, you don't say. Experts have long recognized Megiddo as an essential site in the study of Canaanite urbanism and worship, says the excavation co-directors. Researchers have been investigating sites Tel, the mound at its center, for more than a century. The Tel is home to Megiddo's Great Temple, the largest structure built in the Levant during the early Bronze Age. The recent digs, though, were conducted to the east of the ancient city, ahead of the development of a highway in the area. The findings revealed that the settlement of Megiddo was much larger than experts thought, stretching far beyond the boundaries of the Tel, Golani tells the Times. Now, I've got something to illuminate all that a bit further. If you bear with me. A nice little video. Okay, hold on to your hats.
New discovery that we have recently found near Tel Megiddo. The discovery was made during the course of salvage excavations conducted by the Israel Antiquities Authority on behalf of the National Infrastructure Transportation Company of Israel. What we found are several fantastic and very, very intriguing objects that were found in the bottom of several small pits. These pits are pits in which ritual objects are deposited
Cheers.
for ritual purposes.
Cheers.
One of them is a complete object of a ram in which you can pour something into the ram through this small vessel that you see here, and then you can take the ram and turn it a little bit so that the same thing you put into it pours out of it. And this small bowl that it poured into was part of a set of vessels which is connected to Canaanite ritual, pagan Canaanite ritual.
Cheers.
Here, for the first time, we've
Yes.
been able to
Cheers.
uncover a set, like a tea set, so to speak. In another pit, we uncovered several ceramic vessels similar to the ones that you see here behind me. And in that pit, we uncovered a model of a small temple. This is what the real temples in the Canaanite Late Bronze Age may have looked like. One of the surprising discoveries was
Yeah, that goes on to talk about what we've already talked about, which is the wine press. Nothing much more to add there, but the strangeness of that. Actually, let me show it to you, just so you've got it's back a bit. There we go. That artifact. Now, I was taken aback a little bit by the archaeologist's sort of surprise at the possible function of this vessel. I think that's all that we've got to say. I mean, it's nice, but in terms of function, it's hardly completely unique, is it, Rupert? And we have a couple of examples to show you. Explain.
Oh, yes, we do. Well, but just all over the world. I have to say, I love the South American ones, where you get some extraordinary things in Peru, where they're shaped like animals and they're made in such a way, a lot of them are Inca, that when you pour liquid out of them, because of the way the air flows through the internal valves, they make the sound of the animal. And that is just so damn clever. But as you say, it seems odd to look at a creatively shaped teapot, really, or whatever, a jug of some sort. It seems odd that they were surprised by it, doesn't it?
I mean,
You've got a nice one. Go on.
Oh, do you want me to show you? Oh, I was going to say you show me yours.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
Well, I'll put you full screen so you can show yours first. Okay, there you go. You're full screen.
Well, okay. So mine is shameless, really. My wife collects teapots, right? And so I bought her this from the Natural History Museum in London. Mine is a plesiosaur. Well, I say mine is a plesiosaur. Julie's is a plesiosaur. How wonderful is that? How wonderful is that? It's absolutely bloody marvellous. And also, I have this one, which is not really an animal per se, but I got her this from China. And this is this beautiful little, it's jade, and all around it. So on the top, you've got monkeys. Can you see that? That's a monkey. Oh no, that's not working at all, is it? There's monkeys and frogs and dragons and all sorts of things around here. It's a beautiful little thing, yes, well, that's clearly ritual, isn't it? It's just, gosh.
Well, you said it. I don't know if anybody's spotted this thing on the table behind me, but I mean, it's another thing in exactly the same kind of vein. I have to confess, I have no idea of the provenance of this extraordinary piece. Hold on a second, I'll cover my face. It'll perhaps go into focus. This is a monkey
It's a
every
beautiful little
decorated.
pot. That
And it's with Sharon, my wife's side of the family. I don't think she knows of any provenance for it, but it's the same thing. You've got a hole in the top and a handle,
yeah.
and an animal representation and a spout. This time with 3 holes, 1, 2, and obviously the mouth. I've no idea how old it is, where it came from, who made it, or what have you. I've not even tried it out. I don't think any of us have.
No marks under it. You really should try it out and put your thumb over the top when you pour, and then see what happens when you.
Well, should we use it as a wine dispenser or gin dispenser? Or what?
You could use it as a prehistory guy's ritual affirmation jug.
Anyway,
oh dear. Yeah,
guys, cheers. Thank you for being with us.
Yes.
That's the end of the show, pretty much. I don't think I've got anything much more to add to this evening's procedures. Thank you for all your input and jolliness and making it all worthwhile. Here's to you, folks.
Yes, definitely. Cheers, indeed. So yes, what can we say? We've got we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline, and in fact, we're recording another thing tomorrow, aren't we?
Yes, tomorrow afternoon we're recording a thing about the Theopetra cave in Greece. How about that?
Do you know what? Do you know what? Somebody, I'm sorry, I've forgotten who you are, but somebody commented within the first hour or so. There was a comment that said Theopetra, and I don't know what that was in relation to. It was just, it would have been too disruptive for me to reply at the time. But yeah, we are actually recording something about Theopetra tomorrow, so that was very good timing.
And a couple of days ago, we recorded a long piece, as I said, about our experience at Lipensky Vir, and just relaying. It's called Notes from Lipensky Vir. Look out for that one. It'll be a week or so away because it needs some work to pull it together. But that would be the first of many instances where we refer to Lipensky Vir. There are so many facets of that place that we just didn't know. And we've come back with so many thoughts and not enough time to share them with. But I mean, it's great to be back in the saddle properly. There's nothing much to distract us now apart from Christmas. We're not going to go off on another journey. We're not going to go off on another tour in the next few months. So we'll be concentrated on getting as much stuff out as we possibly can onto YouTube and sharing with Patreon,
we will,
of course, and making sure we get the Monday mood out.
That's true. I need to say thank you to Nellie. She says, I've sent some coffees for Lakeside Dwellings Adventures. Thank you, Nellie.
Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. That's it. We're kind of wittering now. We've come to the end of our lollipop.
We are, but I would just say to Sam, welcome. She said, this is my first time.
Oh, cool.
You a he, Sam, or a she, Sam? This is my first time watching. Love it. Thank you very much. Good to have you. You take good care, folks. Honestly, thanks for being interested in what we do. It's great. So we will see you again very soon.
Till then, bye-bye.
Take care.
Except the outro didn't run. I'm just going to have to end it.
Oh, well, cheers anyway.
Best laid plans.
See you, folks. Bye.